And we're back rolling for the new season. 21. Let me figure out. Hang on. Let me figure out what season we're in. 19, 20, 21 to 22. 20. Mate, I'm running out of fingers. 21 to 22. Stockport County live season. Matt Mainwaring, Liam Dickinson's still on his holidays, I think. Still sunning it up on the beach. This week, which is a shame. We had congratulations to do for him as well, given his big news, but we'll save that for next week. Matt Mainwaring, how are you? Have you enjoyed I've seen you've had a nice holiday this summer.
Yeah, how are you doing, Chris? You all right? I've just recently got back from Santorini. Had a cracking break. Yeah, lovely place.
Tell us about that, mate, before we go into football, because I was watching you on Instagram, and listen, I'm not an Instagram user really. I don't bother with it that much, but I go off from time to time, and I saw this, and I'm thinking, look at Hazel Grove. I love Hazel Grove. Don't get me wrong, that's part of the world. But I'm looking at Santorini, and I'm thinking, yeah, I think I'd rather be there.
Yeah, mate, it was special. I'm not the biggest Instagram user, to be honest. I've rarely post really here and there, but when you're in a setting like that, it's hard not to. And I think I don't. Have you been?
No.
So I mean, it's very strange. Everything's on a rock, basically, like an island overlooking the ocean and stuff. It's unbelievable. My girlfriend's been for 2 hours on her way to somewhere else in Greece, Ios or something, like a little ferry stop. So she had seen it, but a while ago. Whereas for me, it was my first time, and she said, "I'll never forget your face when we had dinner for the first time overlooking the Santorini Islands and the capital and stuff." It was wicked, mate. Absolutely wicked.
Do you know? I don't think you could ever count those little stopovers. When I was a kid, probably too young to remember most of it. Really, I flew over and stopped in Hawaii for 3 hours. Didn't leave the airport, and but all through school, blagged it. Been to Hawaii, mate. Just you know.
Well, you have really, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's like saying I played in Ridgway Park. Yeah, you know what
I mean. What, mate? The football to speak about before we even go into county. Did England turn up in them Euros? That was fantastic.
It was. I expected nothing else. If you looked at the bookies' odds before it started, they were bang up there with France. And if you look at the squad we've got, I think in my lifetime, I'm 31. In my lifetime, I can't think of a squad where we've had more players entering the peak of their careers. We've had great players, but some of them are slightly over the hill. We've had great players, some of them not quite peaked yet. But on this occasion, your Maguires and the Pickfords and the nucleus of the team, the majority were. Put it this way, I see it as would have been the best chance we were going to have of picking up the Euros. It's such a shame because they were very good, very, very good.
They were, and I think it goes to show as well, and I'll expand on this in a minute, but it goes to show just how important that team ethic is before you even start looking at that individual talent, because individual talent, Belgium, Portugal, France, there were teams on paper better than England, there were. But players like Saka, just showing up when we didn't really expect too much. But, that last podcast we did before, I don't think we mentioned Saka's name. He didn't come up, Players like that turn up, that team ethos really pulling us through. County have seen it in recent seasons. Now we saw it with England in the Euros. Really something to focus on. Credit to Southgate. To lose on penalties is tough, isn't it? But Italy can't say they outplayed us. Yeah, we could have done things slightly different, but we still took them to penalties. Italy did not plan for it to go to penalties,
No, I agree. And I think I was just about to say something and you beat me to it. Credit to Southgate, bravery with decisions, because we didn't mention Saka and a couple more. And people like Grealish not starting and yet the squad's still going so far. It was a bit of a shock. Sterling didn't have the best season last season, yet he was awesome in the Euros. So I mean, credit to Southgate. He chose well. He surprised some people with his formation. 3 at the back, 2 wing backs, starting one of the wing backs on the opposite side, things like that. But I mean, pulled it off. Like I say, I think a lot of it's down to having the majority of the squad in the peak.
Yeah, 100%. And the Olympics, did you catch any of the Olympics?
Caught the back end of it, like the semi-finals and finals after getting back from Santorini. We had to isolate for 10 days. So I caught some of it, some of the boxing, some of the athletics, but it was to be honest, you're a bit out of touch with it, aren't you, when you've missed the early stages and stuff. Yeah. But it was good, special nonetheless. People making dreams come true and stuff.
I had a thought on the Olympics. Now I watched a bit of it. Like you say, I watched the boxing. I watched a couple of other bits and pieces. I remember the last Olympics I got really into. I wasn't. I didn't really have that bug this time around. But one thing that I was thinking might be quite an interesting idea was getting like a rehash of the triathlon, where at the start of the tournament, at the start of the Olympics, they should put every Olympic event into a hat, and then pull out 3 events and say, right, there you 3, rather than just it being running, bike, and swimming every time. Could you imagine like running, then equestrian on the horses, and then boxing, and if you, I think, could you imagine having to run all that race, then swim all that way, and then you've got to fight someone at the end of it?
Well, first of all, mate, if it was me, I'd drown for a start. Yeah. I'd drown. Might be all right in the ring and running well. Okay, but yeah.
I'm sure the bet. One of the best things I saw, and I'm sure someone will tell me who it was. I saw someone put on Twitter, sharks are faster. A shark can outswim me in the water, but I can outrun a shark on land. So if we were in a triathlon together, it really comes down to who can ride a bike the best. That was, I thought it was tickled me. But we're not here to discuss Olympics. We're not here to discuss England and the Euros. Stockport County season kicked off, and we had a quick catch up on the phone after it. And okay, listen, opening game didn't go to plan.
No, it didn't. It didn't. We before a ball was kicked, I think we've spoke about this, haven't we, Chris? I think we were favourites with most bookmakers, at least top 3, along with Wrexham and maybe 1 or 2 other sides. That's not the. Ignore that, mate. It's the landline. That's not the. That's not the county we know. But having saying that, we're taking nothing away from Dagenham. From what I saw of the game, Dagenham looked quite strong and looked like a good footballing side as well. Like I say, though, I don't think that's us. And I think there will be disappointment from the fans. First game back for the fans. Gaffer wants to get off to a great start. It wasn't to be, but remember, it's a 40-odd game season. More if you include cup games. So, clubs have had terrible starts for the first 10 games, 8 games, 10 games, 12 games, and still gone on to achieve promotion or even win the league. So, of
course,
we've got to forget about it and move forward.
I think I've been accused in the past of overusing cliches, but cliches are born from events happening over and over again. And for me, looking at the game and looking at the way the team played, etc., you have to take into account the team gelling, if you like. A lot of new signings there, really impressive signings. You look through some of those: Ben Whitfield, Will Fish, Barkley in the defence, and then further up the field, Scott Quigley. These are really, really good signings. But that was their first competitive game together. I'm sure you've got plenty of stories of having to gel with new teammates, and when you're coming in off the back of a summer where 4, 5, 6 new players are all together with a still fairly new coaching staff, and everything that goes on there, new assistant manager as well. Sometimes it does just take a few games.
Yeah, of course, and as you've just said, it's the managing staff as well. It's playing under a new manager, how he likes to play. I think throughout my time, at times I was probably guilty of playing the Jim Gannon way under somebody else, and it's what the manager wants, and it'll take time. Sometimes it can take months. We hope it doesn't, because these are really, really good lads that need to make an impact quick. On the flip side, we've spoke about this before. When you wanted and you brought in, there's no better confidence booster than that, opposed to when you inherited. These lads are brought in. I'm very sure you'll see the best of them in the next few games. Just a shame we didn't get off to the start we wanted. Many factors, being at home in front of our fans that have not been there for circumstances dictated. But I'm pretty sure that we'll be in the mix at the end of the season. And if history's taught us anything, we're going to have to do it the automatic way this year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that league, every season it just seems to get a little bit tougher, because the other clubs, listen, County have strengthened, and every single club, even after the first week, every single club is going to be looking at County, thinking, "Don't fancy going there." Every single club in the division will have looked and gone, "Bloody hell, Dagenham have got something." Like so it's so kudos to them, if you like. Well played to Dagenham, but like you say, County will be there 100%. You can guarantee. I don't want to touch. I don't want to jinx anything, but you guarantee that they'll be in that top contention. They'll be punching. They'll spend if they need to. They'll make adjustments if they need to. The board and the coaching staff and everything else have shown that they're not worried to do that. And again, I come back to the pedigree. Jim Gannon, and other county managers that have done well, they've always kept a nucleus of players and brought other players in around them. And Simon Rusko's done the same thing. We mentioned those players there, but you've still got your Ben Hinchliffe, you've still got Liam Hogan, you've still got John Rooney, Macaulay South Wales. This is the new nucleus, if you like.
Yeah, totally agree. And they know the league. They know what the county ethos is all about. They know the ambition better than these lads. These lads will learn quickly, but it's about that ambition, and there's no other way to look at it. Like you've just said, we're going to be a force, and we're going to be in that conversation at the end of the season. But as we know, it's game by game, and touching on Saturday, it might be too early to say, but we're going to have to shape up, because for large periods of that match, we were second best. It was a bit too easy. We were being played through. And if you look at the goals, a lot of them were, Dagenham played some nice stuff. A little cheap set play led to a cheap goal. I'm talking about the corner, and then the set play on the edge of the box, the free kick. These are goals that can be avoided just with little tweaks, and I'm sure the lads will listen to the manager and push forward. But on the flip side, I mean, if you look at John Rooney's goal, he just seems to be getting stronger and stronger every game, especially offensively. When I was playing, I was probably a bit young to understand 18, 19 as a first and second year pro, but that's what's expected of a midfielder now. Back in the day, a midfielder was a midfielder. Now, a midfielder is expected. If you look at Dele Alli, he's a prime example. They make runs beyond the back four, because as a defender, nobody likes somebody running that way. They like you in front of them where you can see everything. That's what John's doing. He's making runs, and that's where his goals are coming from. Another example of it on Saturday. Great wing play, firing to his feet, gets across the man, nice and sharp upstairs, and we're a goal up. More of that needed, definitely. But I think on the defensive side, we need to, based on the game with Dagenham, I think we need to tighten up in the middle a little bit. They seem to be playing through us a little bit too easy, and they had a few too many chances for the gaffers' liking, I imagine.
So, from an analysis point of view, I mean, I heard something quite poignant in the boxing world the other day. But as you know, we do a lot of work in the boxing world as well as football, and quite often terms and things you can translate between sports. And it was David Hay who I was listening to, who was saying, when you're evolving your game, when you're expanding and when you're learning, you're trying to bring new things in, you don't want a coach to come in and say, right, here's 50 things I want you to improve on. I want you to swivel your left foot a bit more, work on your hips, drop your shoulders, lift your hand, blah, blah. You don't want 50 things like that, because then your mind's racing throughout the fight. What you want is maybe one, maybe two, just to keep, so you might say, keep your shoulder up more, you're dropping your shoulder too much. Yeah. So constantly in the fight, all you've got to think about is keep doing what you're doing, but keep that shoulder up. We translate that to a football sense, that'll be exactly the same. The defenders will want one simple task to be told from the management team: keep doing what you're doing, but I don't know, maybe tighten up the central areas, close the space down in between, the defense and the midfield or whatever. The midfield, similarly, they will want one simple instruction: keep doing what you're doing, but add this up. The strikers as well. If you were the gaffer, if you were the coaching staff or the management to say this, what simple lines would you be saying, just given off the one game that I appreciate is only one game, and it's the first game of the season, a lot of new players, etc., etc. But if you were in the shoes of the person passing on that message, what do you think they will be saying to those players?
In a situation like the Dagenham game, it's a great point what you've made there, absolutely, because all sport is a game of chess, no matter what sport it is. It's a game of chess. It's your approach, really, that'll win or lose you, and your ability to adapt when there's a problem. But getting back to that, I mean, based on the Dagenham game, it could be something as simple as recognising what's not working. Jim used to do it regularly, and he'd smash it home to us. And like you say, you don't want information overload. It gradually layer your improvements and your ability to improve. In terms of the Dagenham game specifically, what I noticed was we were being played through quite a lot. So it could have been from an overloading midfield, a 4v3. It could have been from a floating winger coming in and creating an overload. All it really takes, and it's just recognising it, and again, it comes back to you saying that we've got a few new bodies in the side. All it really takes is somebody to potentially take one for the team, go and stand on the man that's causing the problems, stay with him for 20 minutes, take him out of the game, or for wingers to sort of tuck in and just basically make them play around you, because you've less risk of conceding a goal if they have to go around, you know. Little things like that. Again, you'd have to analyse the game completely and pick it apart, but you know, holistically, it'd be recognising what's happening and quickly, and that's what you don't do as a young lad. You can have all the talent in the world, you don't see it, and it only comes with experience. And I remember
it's what you call sniffing out the danger. Yeah,
sniffing it and knowing to look for it. We played a reserve game many years ago against, I was 22 or something, against Rochdale. And we had a lad on trial, I forget his name, an Irish lad, but he'd been a really good pro all around all the leagues. And they were running rings around us. And I remember he went and stood on the man that was causing all the issues and just stuck with him like glue. And it changed the game, changed the dynamic of the game. And he got a right load of praise off Wardy at half time. Somebody like me, he was a first year pro, I didn't even recognise that he did it. You know, and getting back to what you're saying about layering the improvements, it has to come over time. It can't be. You have to build. Jim used to do it seasonally. I remember Jim having a conversation with Gary Dicker. Your fundamentals of your game are absolutely sound. You're breaking up play, your 5-10 yard passes, and you're distributing a great. Now, in order for you to go to the next level as a player in your development, I want you to start breaking forward, like we just spoke about, like John Rooney, like Dele Alli. And you know, that's how he would do it. So he would discuss the next level of your individual game and what will bring you on as a player and take you to that next level.
It's a really interesting point, and I think it goes back to which we opened with, and this idea of gelling teams and what that actually means. What does players gelling actually mean? And it's none of them are going to be fearful enough to tell a teammate, shout at a teammate, bollock a teammate if needs be, you know, whether they're new or all been there for 5 years or 5 minutes. You know, if they need to drop in, push out, whatever it is, then they'll do that. But it's that mental understanding. I know where you are without looking. You can't, you just can't force that through. So I guess that's why I'm not concerned. Again, you look at the new signings, the caliber of those players. I mean, it's not just the caliber of those particular players. I mean, on paper, signing players from Manchester United, signing players from Aston Villa, you know, their statements within themselves, that says to the rest of the division, this is us being serious now. You know, I don't know if Will Fish is going to, you know, have an amazing season for us and go on to be the next Rio Ferdinand at Manchester United. I don't know, but we're certainly having that, you know, the fact that we're bringing players from Manchester United who they're not just backstage kind of squad players that are never going to get a sniff in. The Man United fans I speak to rate this kid. Do you know that? You know, so for me, I'm not worried about that. The players have certainly got that that mentality, that belief, that caliber that we spoke about. Scott Quigley is for me a particular eyebrow raiser. The guy scores goals, and the other players that are still yet to fully bed in. Paddy Maddens, for example. You know, when we signed him last season, everyone's going, bloody hell, what a signing! You know, he's just going to thrive in this atmosphere, this environment of John Rooney around him, Scott Quigley around him, and these other players. So take the loss on the chin, I guess. You know, there's been one team in my lifetime that has won the league without having lost a game all season. That is how special it is. So, you know, we're not going to.
Was that Arsenal?
That was Arsenal, yeah. I actually remember Neil Young when Neil Young was county manager. And at the time when we got Neil in, I mean, I have nothing bad to say about Neil. He was always great with us. All right, it didn't work out for him in the end, but you know, the guy worked hard. The guy was decent to speak to, and I remember him saying, in the first few games of his season, of his first full season, we went unbeaten for ages.
Yeah.
And I can't just remember off the top of my head the number of games, but we went unbeaten for a long run. And eventually we did lose, obviously. And he said, look, I actually quite like it in a way, because people are going to stop asking me now about this unbeaten run. You know, you've almost taken that pressure away. So I'm not going to dress it up. I'm not going to say it's a good thing that we've lost, because it obviously isn't. But okay, if we go on a running, 5-6 games unbeaten now, at least we're not going to be having the question of, oh, how many games unbeaten can we go? Can we go a full season? Can we go? And just adding that extra layer, if you like, of pressure. That's not going to happen now. So if I had to find a positive in defeat, I guess that would be it.
Yeah, very rare teams go unbeaten for, especially in football league, for more than 5, 6, 7, 8 games. It don't really happen,
Yeah.
We were an exception when we won so many games on the spin. I agree to an extent. You can't dress it up. However, it's out the way, and you'll get a reaction from the lads now. At least the ones that are going to be important, and you'll work out who's who. You know what I mean? From a playing perspective for the manager, he'll want a reaction. That's the positive. But getting back to the Premier League clubs, the Uniteds, the Villas, what you were saying there, great point. Again, I think the very fact that they want to send their players to us, it speaks volumes, because they know their young lads, their young prospects that they've nurtured through the academy, that are going to go on to have great careers. They know they're in good hands at a club like Stockport, and better still, they know how the press works. They know we're going to be in the press. They know we're going to be pushing for the title, and they want their lads involved with that. That for me speaks volumes, and it can only go one way, and that's positive.
Yeah, I've got to say, my 5-a-side and 6-a-side football ventures, we often work the other way. Sometimes we nearly go a whole season without winning any games.
We don't look at your squad.
Yeah, most definitely. I think the lack of a manager or any playing ability really
You should get Liam in. He's still quite active with his charity game.
You know what? We went to watch him twice over the summer, and the kid has definitely still got it. But you're playing a dangerous game nominating him, Matty, because if he comes, I think you two double act. I think double signing. I'm going to be putting contracts down in front of both of you.
Money talks. He might be a bit big for 5-a-side now. You know what I mean? 6'5". You can't flick it on, can you? Yeah. No overhead eye.
I know. Yeah. To be fair, we've moved into the 6-a-side league lately, which is you can get it. You can get it overhead eye, but we're as terrible at that as we were at 5. So
there's no net then at the top, is there?
No, there's no net. Yeah, there's no net. But listen, I think that's probably a pretty good place to start winding it down. Week 1, there's never loads to go over. We don't just want to be picking the bones and over analysing when it is just one game. I think the bank holiday weekend is good for us because it's 2 games in quick succession. After the bank holiday, we play 3 games in what is it, 10 days or something. So that honeymoon hangover, whatever you want to call it, is done then. We're not going to start making league table predictions, but you play 3 games quick succession, loads to talk about, 3 games to really mull over and analyse and start talking about.
And forget this as well. That's what it'll do. It'll put this to the back of everyone's mind. Yeah.
I'm sure Simon and his team would have had an expected points target after 3 games, and maybe they probably won't share that information. Managers rarely do, but it would surprise me if it was 9. Maybe it would have been 6, 7, and if it was 6 or 7, then we could still get 6. So
we could do it another way. We might pick up a win where he was expecting to draw.
Yeah,
I think based on that, forget about it. That's the best thing we can do. A couple of minor things, in my personal opinion, if we're talking about analysing the game. The lads have a responsibility to recognise when something's happening on a pitch and adapt to it. That's how you win a football match. We probably sunk a bit too deep, too early. In my opinion, from what I've seen, we were camping on the edge of the box a little bit while they were. I know the pitch was perfect, so it was sort of you have it, we have it, but it's inviting pressure and they were having shots, and albeit they weren't proper chances, but they were half chances, and just tidy up defensively a little bit. I don't mean the back 4. I mean just recognising patterns of movement from the opposition. It'll come. It'll definitely come as we start to gel, like you say.
Yeah. just finally, before we let you go, James Jennings, of course, moved into retirement over the summer. I know obviously you're acquainted with James. What a fantastic servant to the game. Wasn't with County for a particularly long period, but made an impression. Him and his brother, they're going to be fondly thought of by the County fans.
Yeah, two really strong players, two really good players. And about James, I mean, I sent him a little message wishing him all the best. I was quite sad, to be honest. I was quite sad because I had a vision of Stockport entering it back into the Football League with James at the heart of it, to be honest. The likes of James, Rooney, Hogan, Hinchcliffe, and the lads around him. In the back of my mind, I had James at the heart of that because, in my opinion, he was one of, if not the most complete player we had, in my opinion. He was very solid. I don't think his resume lies playing in the Football League for the likes of Forest Green and whatnot. So, very sad. I thought it was quite sad, but great career, really good career to be proud of. Not many can say they've played that many games in the Football League and they've made a pro and then better still, wrapped it up at his hometown.
Yeah,
it's wicked. Yeah, wish him all the best. Been a great player, and I'm sure we'll see him at the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Matt, we'll let you crack on. We'll see you next week, and as ever, thanks very much for joining us. 2 more games, hopefully 6 points to chew over next week.
Hopefully, mate. Hopefully that's the plan. Well, got no choice now, have we? We have to get those points up.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, listen, mate. All the best. We'll catch you next week. Thank you, man.
Catch you in a bit, mate. Top man.